The soul in music, a concept that has been of philosophical discussion for centuries, yet has only gotten more complex with the dawn of AI. Good day, esteemed faculty. My research proposal is an exploration of artificial intelligence being used for classical music composition. This proposal will be presented as follows. Firstly, an abstract will give a general overview of a study. Next, an introduction will provide background and context to musical aesthetics and music language models. Next, a literature review will cover the historic background of 19th century machine integration through to modern-day machine learning algorithms being used for music production. Next, the methodology will cover in-depth the research design, whilst the conclusion will provide a general summary, limitations, and ethical considerations. Advancements in artificial intelligence have led to its capability to compose musical pieces, yet many musicians challenge the authenticity of his compositions due to its non-human origin. This study aims to build upon the philosophical field of musical aesthetics and the technological field of AI composition to create an objective framework which captures and defines the true essence of music. To accomplish this, the study will make use of a mixed method approach, taking the form of a descriptive case study. The final artifact of the study will act as a musical Turing test, allowing anyone to determine if an audio sequence, such as one generated by an AI algorithm, qualifies as a musical score. It will build upon existing philosophical and theoretical musical tools to analyze the intrinsic value of musical compositions, and it will validate its findings by using inductive reasoning. Qualitative interviews with industry experts and a quantitative blind listening experiment will be conducted to gather data. A thematic analysis and statistical techniques will be used to find insight in the result. This will form the basis of the framework. There is currently a contentious debate in the music community. Some musicians argue that music can only be authentic when it originates from a human composer, largely due to the impact that the humanity and emotions of a composer has on their musical creations. Technologists argue that AI is the future of music via companion composition, whilst traditionalists argue that because AI cannot think, feel, or experience life, it has no business being compared to human compositions. This debate shows the need for a framework to objectively define what classifies as music, especially now due to the rapid rate at which generative AI is being introduced into the industry. This study aims to contribute to the current discourse by developing a musical Turing test, as well as determining the criteria that an AI composition algorithm must prioritize for its work to be considered equal to human compositions. The objective of a study is to develop a criteria framework able to determine if an audio sequence qualifies as music. The researcher will strive to interview industry experts from both the musicology field as well as the artificial intelligence field. The researcher will further conduct a technical blind listening experiment with 100 different musicians in academia. The study will respect the ethical guidelines of the university and adhere to the Protection of Private Information Act. As such, it will anonymize respondent data and ensure informed consent by providing participants and respondents with disclosure forms beforehand. Additionally, the study will be classified as applied research as it intends to not just contribute to the current discourse, but also develop this practical framework. The combination of machine and music has been a point of research since before the dawn of computing. One of the earliest machines created to play music is known as the pianola, which is also known as the first self-playing piano. This instrument today is most often seen in modern pop culture, where self-playing pianos are shown in old Western saloons. This instrument is similar to a standard piano, but it has an additional spinning mechanism which can trigger certain notes to play. To use this mechanism, one needs a special roll with divots punched into it, which is known as a piano roll. As the mechanism spins, it triggers certain notes to play based on the divots currently inside the machine. This allows someone to program the piano to play a specific song. It was developed in 1896 and is considered one of the earliest integrations of machine automation and music. Whilst the pianola was significant, it opened the door to much more sophisticated machines in the music field that not only performed music, but generated its own music as well. In 1957, researchers showcased a machine-generated piece of music named the Iliac Suite for String Quartet. This computer system used to generate the piece was known as Iliac 1 or Illinois Automatic Computer, and was originally built by Alan Turing himself. It was the first computer program to generate musical melodies, and it led to a boom in research popularity, with many similar and evolving systems being developed during the next 2 decades. During this trend of musical AI research, a key system was Cybernetic Composer, a program created to generate music in the genres of jazz, rock, ragtime, and Latin jazz. Cybernetic Composer utilized pseudo-random number generators and a set of weighted variables to create unique combinations based on the criteria demanded by each of the genres. This created a tree structure of potential outcomes for the piece that looped through the algorithm to create the chords, melodies, and progressions. For example, if a starting note or root and the genre was selected by the user, the weighted percentages will change based on the genre. This tunes the algorithm to the correct style. All consecutive notes afterwards will then be generated to match this style. This is achieved by having the weighted randomization algorithm repeat on each beat for the chords, progression, and melody, which are then layered together to create a musical piece matching the genre. The modern music language models have expanded significantly past the previous works using pseudo-random generators. Current systems make use of machine learning algorithms to train on human-composed pieces. For example, an AI composer specifically trained on pieces from the classical period, spanning 1750 to 1820, will be much better at generating compositions matching the style from that era. A case in point would be the AI composer Bachbot, which has been extensively trained on the Baroque period composer Johann Sebastian Bach's work. Through use of deep learning algorithms, its creator Liang was able to algorithmically capture the unique composition style of Bach, with the AI now being able to generate new pieces sounding quite familiar to his work. Notably, Liang created a website that acts as a form of Turing test. Anyone can test themselves to see if they can identify which pieces were generated by the AI and which were composed by Bach himself. This study will build upon the initial work of Liang to develop an all-encompassing musical Turing test, which will cover multiple additional dimensions surrounding the data. Looking beyond Bachbot, there are numerous other AI composing software available on the market for individuals and organizations to experiment with. A noticeable example is Ava, which also makes use of machine learning to generate content based on styles it has already been trained upon. Ava differentiates itself from competitors as it has the ability to generate music in over 250 different styles. Machine and music interaction have evolved greatly since its inception in the early 20th century, starting from simple mechanical systems performing pre-programmed pieces with pianolas to modern AI-driven algorithms generating its own pieces and variations. This study makes use of a mixed method approach with specific regards to qualitative interviews with industry experts and quantitative surveys with musicians in academia. This study utilizes inductive reasoning, intending to investigate the perspectives of musicians in relation to AI-composed music. The overall research design will take the form of a descriptive case study, where industry experts will be invited to participate in an interview, and their opinions and perspectives will shape how data is mined from the survey. The survey is designed as a blind listing experiment where musicians are asked to listen to a series of musical audio clips and attempt to identify which were composed by an AI algorithm. Additionally, the study follows the interpretive approach, which focuses on the individual experiences of the participants and respondents. The study makes use of purposive sampling and has a sample size of 100 musicians and 2 industry experts. Moreover, the population of the study is a diverse group of musicians and industry experts in the fields of musicology and artificial intelligence. Qualitative interviews will make use of purposive sampling with a sample size of 2 industry experts. A CEO of a prominent AI tech company located in the Western Cape will be consulted with as our expert from the AI field. Additionally, the head of the Stellenbosch University Department of Music will be interviewed as our expert from the musicology field. They will both be asked general questions, such as if they believe that AI content could qualify as music, or more specific questions of their field, such as questions on musical aesthetics for the musicology experts, or questions on AI ethics for the technology experts. The quantitative survey also makes use of purposive sampling, with a sample size of 100 musicians. The first section of the survey asks for their academic experience, be that a high school music student all the way up to a music professor. The core of this survey is the blind listening experiment, where respondents will be exposed to a series of audio clips, which you have to correctly identify as being either AI composed or human composed. They will listen to 8 different music samples, 4 of which were composed by humans and 4 of which were composed by AI. To eliminate the potential source of bias, they will be performed by both AI and human performers. The final question will ask them to rate which aspects of musical aesthetics is most important to them in a musical piece, which is critical information when considering priorities for future music language models. Qualitative data gathered from the interviews will undergo thematic analysis to determine if there are any overlaps in the perspectives of the different industry experts, while Python will be used to mine data gathered from the survey responses. For instance, data analysis could be used to determine if a type of performer had a noticeable impact on the respondent's ability to correctly identify the composition as AI or human-made. This image shows how such data could be displayed. In this potential outcome, the example data shows that musicians were able to easily identify most compositions, but struggled to identify AI-composed pieces that were performed by a human. Such data could have many philosophical implications, such as forming the notion that it is the performer that gives a piece its soul, not the composer. To ensure quality data for analysis, the survey link and invitation will only be shared in music circles to ensure the validity and reliability of the data gathered. These musicians will be personally invited by the researcher or co-supervisor to participate in the study should they be identified as having the required musical education. Moreover, great care will be taken to ensure the interview participants are credible sources and that they are a good representation of their field. A simple background investigation will be conducted before invitations are sent out to ensure that they are respected in the industry and that there are no controversies that could negatively impact this study. A potential limitation for the study would be the implementation of purposive sampling, as this could lead to researcher bias. The researcher has throughout 17 years as a musician made many acquaintances and contacts in the academic musical circle of the Western Cape. Some contacts have traveled and moved across the world, building international connections along the way. These musicians will also be invited by referral. With this mentioned, it should be noted that the researcher does not have contacts in all levels of music. The researcher will make every effort to ensure a diverse range of respondents, but due to the inherent widespread and nuanced nature of music, they cannot confirm that there will be a respondent from every different musical style and group. As for recommendations, the researcher can definitely recommend examining AI in music education, analyzing the ethical implication of AI, such as with regards to copyright infringement, AI composition for musical therapy as an interesting social psychological study, or impact of AI on evolving musical genres. In summary, this study intends to gather data using both qualitative interviews and quantitative surveys. As stated, this gives a comprehensive view of a nuanced hybrid field of AI composition. Due to the importance of personal opinions and experiences of a research sample group, the study makes use of inductive reasoning. It seeks to define the essence of true music. It seeks to understand and utilize music aesthetics, and it seeks to understand music language models. The design and overall data gathering strategy will form part of a descriptive case study, with the interpretive approach being used. The chosen population will consist of industry experts from both artificial intelligence and musicology, as well as musicians in academia. The researcher intends to interview 2 industry experts and invite 100 musicians to respond to the survey. The survey will make use of close-ended questions as part of a blind listening experiment, while the interview will use open-ended questions. A thematic analysis will be used to analyze data gathered from the interviews, while Python will be used for statistical analysis of the survey results. The researcher intends to ensure the credibility of a study by doing background checks on the interview participants to ensure they are appropriate to consult. Additionally, the researcher will check the academic credentials of the musicians before they are invited to participate in the survey. This study is considered applied research as it will be used for the practical purpose of creating a framework for differentiating between audio sequences and music. It will further be used to provide insight into how future AI composition models can be improved upon. The study is set to conclude at the end of November 2024, and a key factor is to ensure that the project is handled ethically at all times, with transparency to the interview participants and informed consent for all parties. The research methodology has been optimized to gather as much relevant data from respondents and participants as possible, which the researcher will ultimately use to create a true method of determining whether AI compositions classifies as music. Thank you.
If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me during normal working hours. You can reach me at 079-582-6021 or 021-981-8477. I'm available and happy to discuss any questions you may have about this project.